Hey guys, it's Trevy the Great here again with another Warhammer 40,000 battle report. This is my first report after the Valhalla Batreps. I hope you guys enjoyed those, my games at Valhalla. And now we're just back at home playing some other games with some other armies. So yeah, that's what's going on. This one obviously is Blood Angels versus Necrons. I'm running 2,000 points, the exact same army I've been running with my Blood Angels for as long as I've been playing them, pretty much. So that would be 3 assault squads, melt-a-gun, flamer, power sword on the sergeant, big unit of 5 sanguinary guard with the chapter banner, the sanguinor, a dreadnought, no upgrades, just multi-melta, and what do you call it? Dreadnought close combat weapon. And then I got a Storm Raven gunship with the double hurricane bolters, the twin link glass cannon, twin link multi-melta, and extra armor, and a locator beacon. All of the above, pretty awesome. And I have 4 sanguinary priests with jump packs to top it all off. So that's what's going on in that army. You can see I've actually finished painting my Storm Raven. It's not as bland and black as it was in my previous battle reports. I did some freehand on the side and stuff. So very nice there. I'm playing against a Necron army, not something you see every day. He's got a couple things in his army. He's got 2 units of destroyers, 1 unit of one unit of normal destroyers, I think 4 normal destroyers, 1 unit of 2 heavy destroyers. He's got a lord with a destroyer body, a resurrection orb, and a war scythe. He had a lord with a staff of light and a resurrection orb. He had 3 units, small units of Necron warriors. I don't remember how big they were. And he had a monolith. So pretty standard Necron fare. Oh, he also had a small unit of scarab swarms too, but they didn't really end up doing much. So that's what's going on there. Scenario is seize ground. There's a couple objectives all over the board. There's one in that. Oh no, I'm sorry, not seize ground. The scenario is capture and control. There's 1 objective on each in each of our deployment zones. I was thinking of another game earlier. So my objective is sort of on my side of the board there, obviously. Just above that building on the left-hand side of the picture, you can just sort of see it in the center there, a little tiny flag thing on a base. My opponent's objective is in that building, that lower building in the right-hand side that he's just deploying his troops over at. And so that's where those are. So basically I've stacked 1 flank like I do with most of my games. With the Storm Raven and a bunch of the assault squads. I put 2 assault squads in that building there in the center of my deployment zone. I figured I could jump 1 out and try to do some damage if my opponent decided to move up and attack my objective, and the other one could sort of hunker down in that objective and jump out if need be, or just jump out and take my objective last turn, because obviously my army isn't very good at standing up to shooting attacks, especially Necron shooting attacks. They can put out a lot of shots. Especially a lot of AP3 and 2 shots that'll go right through my feel no pain, which would suck. And so that's what's going on. And then obviously the Sanguinary Guard and the Dreadnought are in the Storm Raven. And oh, sorry, I have a unit of Vanguard veterans as well. I forgot to mention earlier. And they and the Sanguinor are in reserve. They're going to deep strike in, hopefully within 5 inches of or 6 inches of the Storm Raven, so they don't scatter. But we'll see what happens. So this is the end of my opponent's turn 1. My opponent took the first turn, and honestly, not much happened. When I talked about his army list, I forgot to mention he's got a unit of pariahs and a unit of flayed ones. They work really well together because the pariahs lower your leadership to 7, and the flayed ones make you roll on 6s unless you pass the leadership test, which is then on 7, which is too bad. So he's basically moved all that stuff up. He's got a lord in that flayed 1 unit in the upper right-hand corner there. He's turbo boosted his scarabs out, but I figure I'll probably just flamer them to death. And then he's jumped his destroyers over that building in the center, and he's moved his other destroyers, his normal destroyers, over to attack my Storm Raven, so sort of try to hold that up a little bit. And then he's got this unit of warriors in the foreground here, just moving up to take my objective. So not a heck of a lot going on there. Obviously, it's the first turn. He shook my Storm Raven with his heavy destroyers, but other than that, wasn't able to do anything with shooting. So I'll just go to my turn 1. So here's the end of my first turn. Obviously, my 2 assault squads have moved up a little bit. The assault squads in the center of my deployment zone, they've flamed and destroyed that Scarab Swarm. I wasn't able to kill it with shooting, obviously, because it had that 3+ turbo boosting save, but I was hoping to be able to do a bunch of damage with my flamers, and I was able to kill 2 or 3 of the bases, but I didn't wipe them out, and I didn't really want them to cause havoc and try to contest my objective later on, so I ended up just assaulting with that assault squad in the center of the photo there, and they wiped it out. What I hoped to do was hit that squad and then be able to roll a 5 or a 6 on my consolidate, and then just move all the way back and not be able to be assaulted next turn, so I'll get the assault off and be able to get those extra attacks and everything. But unfortunately that didn't happen, just because I think I rolled a 1 or a 2 on the consolidate, so I just basically spread out and moved up a little bit so that when my opponent does assault me, which he will, then I'll just be able to get more attacks in and hopefully do some damage. Other than that, my Storm Raven turbo boosted because obviously it couldn't shoot. Turbo boosted, you can't really see it right now, but it's right next to the destroyers in the right-hand side of the photo there. And it ended up firing one of its twin linked weapons, I think a last cannon, because it had power of the machine spirit, and was able to kill one of the destroyers. And then I just have that assault squad with the Sanguinor's champion on the lower right-hand side of the photo. They're just moving up, and they're probably going to be able to assault that objective and hopefully at least contest it or possibly take it over. So here is the end of my opponent's next turn, my opponent's turn 2. Lots of stuff happened. Obviously, his monolith deep struck right on top of my objective. It scattered a little bit, but so it's basically sitting right in front of my objective, which is going to stop me from being able to take the objective, because I don't have a lot of heavy anti-tank that really can take it out, because obviously Meltaguns don't have any special qualities versus a monolith. So that's my answer for popping AV-13 and 14, and I can't really do that against a monolith. So he's going to be able to teleport his warriors in and be able to do some damage with that and hopefully take my objective. But hopefully I'll be able to get some lucky rolls and take it out, or at least just take his objective in and contest this one. So what's happened is his basically most of his models have moved up. His Destroyer Lord has left the unit of heavy destroyers because it was hiding in there so it wouldn't get killed. And then it's it and the unit of flayed ones with the Lord in there has assaulted the unit of my assault marines that attacked the Scarab Swarms. I failed my leadership 7 leadership test to try to hit them, and I was hitting them on 6s. I think I might have been able to do 1 or 2 wounds, but I lost 4 or 5 guys, and because I was leadership 7, I needed double 1s, and I ended up running away. And because Necrons are so low initiative, I was able to get away, and they're in the foreground there, sort of mixed in with the squad that's holding that building. So that was too bad, but they do automatically rally in my turn because they are Space Marines, and I'm going to be able to move in a bunch of assault squads and hopefully combo assault that squad. The squad on my right-hand flank with the Sanguinor's champion in it did roll for Red Thirst, and they got Fearless, so they'll be able to go in and do some damage because they won't have to roll for the leadership, and their being reduced to leadership 7 doesn't really matter for me. So we'll see what happens. My turn 2. Okay, so this is my turn 2. Lots of stuff has happened, a whole crap ton. Basically, it's just become a giant cluster of battle in the middle. I had my assault squad with the Sanguinor's champion jump over from my right-hand flank, and I had my assault squad that was in the building run through the building. I also, because of Descent of Angels, was able to deep strike in the Sanguinor. That's that huge winged guy, sort of on the left-hand part of that enormous cluster of guys. I did have a different model to represent him. It was based on a honor guard guy from the Ultramarines, but I've converted a new one. He's got like a robe and these huge wings, and he looks awesome. And I'll get pictures of that up later on. But he's deep struck in. He's been able to give everyone +1 attack. The Vanguard veterans have deep struck in. You can't really see them in that cluster of guys, but they're in there as well. And they're within 6 inches of the Necron, so they'll be able to assault. So it was ridiculously crazy. So I ended up assaulting that unit of flayed ones, as well as the destroyer with 2 assault squads and the Vanguard veterans with all the +1 attack and with the charging bonus, obviously. However, the Necron Lord in the flayed one unit had Gaze of Flame, and that reduced all of their attacks by 1 because they didn't get the charging bonus. But the Sanguinor sort of rectified that by giving them +1 attack, and I was able to wipe out all of the flayed ones, which was awesome. I did fail a couple leadership tests in there, but the Sanguinor's Champions unit was fearless, and they were able to do a bunch of damage, especially because the Sanguinor's Champion's freaking awesome. He's got a bunch of awesome stats. So that was great. I took down both of the lords. I took down all of the flayed ones, and that was good. Although the lords can still make their will be back roll if they because they're basically their unit hasn't been wiped out because all it is just a lord. And then I moved my other assault squad up to fire at the monolith, but to no avail. Okay, so my opponent's turn. Something I did forget to mention was that my Sanguinary Guard piled out of the Storm Raven. They were able to assault the destroyers and wipe them out very easily. And then the heavy destroyers got destroyed by the Storm Raven's firing. The Storm Raven unloaded all its Blood Strike missiles on them. In hindsight, I probably should have saved them and just fired the Hurricane Bolters and the anti-tank guns at them, because that probably would have killed them. But I fired everything and was able to wipe them out really easily, so that happened. And then the destroyers got killed by the Sanguinary Guard. But what happened is that my opponent failed his will be back on his destroyer lord, but his normal lord passed and stood up and ran into the unit of pariahs, which then assaulted the Sanguinary Guard and was able to wipe it out. Although I believe the pariahs got wiped out in return. So it was a trade-off, because we're both initiative 4 striking simultaneously. We killed each other basically. And then my opponent was able to bring in a unit of warriors from reserve through the monolith's little teleporter, and they fired at the Sanguinary but weren't able to do anything. But they can try to take that objective now if they don't get attacked by these assault squads and taken out. But it's not looking too good for my opponent right now, though, because all he has is 3 warrior squads and a monolith and a lord. So that's what's going on. So we'll see what I can do. I'll probably be able to mop this up pretty easily and force a phase out, and if not, I can probably take at least one of these objectives and win the game. So that's what's going to happen. Okay, so this is going to be the last photo of the game. I didn't take a lot of pictures between the last turn and this one, just because not a lot happened. It was basically just a giant grind fest. I had my assault squad and my Vanguard veteran squad assault that unit of Necron warriors outside of the monolith. They were able to wipe it out over a couple turns of combat. The Sanguinor decided to assault the unit of Necron warriors that was marching in on my objective, just because I thought it would be funny if he just went in there all solo and tried to take them out. And he was able to, over 3 or 4 turns, just kill them all. Although I believe he's down to 1 wound left, because he failed a couple armor saves. My Storm Raven was going to jump over and to the monolith and drop my Dreadnought and take the monolith out, but I totally forgot to do that. So the monolith's still there and the Dreadnought's still on my Storm Raven. So the Storm Raven jumped back and was able to fire at the Necron warrior unit inside the building, and bring it down to 1 model. The other assault squad of the Sanguinor's champion assaulted my opponent's Necron lord, who kept passing will be back. I believe I killed him with bolt pistols, and he passed will be back. So I had to shoot him with bolt pistols again, and he failed will be back. So it took three times killing him to be able to take him down finally. But that was able to kill him, and that brought my opponent down to 1 Necron left on the board, which forced a phase out. So that was the end of the game. I probably would have gotten it anyway, just because my opponent had 2 models left. But I believe it was the end of turn 4 or 5 that he phased out. So good game by my opponent. Obviously, phase out is a silly rule, but he just really did not have the speed to be able to deal with the amount of units that I had just jumping around the board. So that's what was going on. Unfortunately, though, I didn't have a way to deal with the monolith. So if he hadn't phased out, it might have been a different game, just because I couldn't have dealt with that. But that's how it goes. Looking forward to a new Necron Codex, I guess. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this battle report. For more battle reports, check out my channel. Check out Trevy'sPaintingTable.com. And I hope to see you all later. Hasta la vista!